Welcome to Noir Alley here at Bar 355 in Oakland, California. I'm your host, Eddie Muller. Our film this week has a special place in my career. It was more than 25 years ago that I programmed my first film festival devoted to film noir. And The Narrow Margin was the first movie I screened. It was in Hollywood at the legendary Egyptian Theater, and what made the evening extra special was that the guests that night were the film's producer, Stanley Rubin, its director, Richard Fleischer, and its star, Marie Windsor. They reminisced about how The Narrow Margin had been the breakthrough they were all looking for. Separately, Rubin and Fleischer had spent years making B pictures, and Windsor, once touted by MGM as the next Joan Crawford, had never had a part this juicy, a true star-making role. Rubin was the engine driving this project. He had a deal with RKO to write and produce the film Macau, but studio boss Howard Hughes pulled the rug out from under him. As a makeup, Rubin was given his pick of any B-unit property in development at the studio. He chose an original story called Target by Martin Goldsmith and Jack Leonard. Noir fans may recognize Goldsmith as the author of Detour, often touted as the greatest B-movie ever. Well, Stanley Rubin would argue that the film he produced from a Goldsmith story is even better. His first move, and a brilliant one, was hiring director Dick Fleischer and his regular writing partner, Earl Felton. Rubin had been impressed by the exciting movies Fleischer had made at RKO, brisk and bruising B pictures like Bodyguard, Follow Me Quietly, The Clay Pigeon, and Armored Car Robbery. Rubin's goal was to make a crime picture that was a cut above those films, a nervous A in industry parlance, thereby proving to Howard Hughes that he deserved to be working with bigger budgets. This is also what's known as a can picture, a story set almost entirely within the confines of a moving vehicle. It can be a plane, a bus, a submarine. In this case, it's a train traveling from Chicago to Los Angeles. Among the passengers is a surly cop assigned to deliver a mobster's wife to testify in a racketeering case. Various other passengers, of course, want to make sure she never makes it to the coast. It took Fleischer only 13 days and a budget of $230,000 to deliver a picture with as much style and inventiveness as any movie of its time. Now, as brilliant as Fleischer's work is, the main event here is the face-off between two heavyweights, tough guy Charles McGraw and formidable femme Marie Windsor. These two take hard-boiled to a whole other level, spewing sass at each other non-stop. McGraw had been acting since the early 40s, routinely cast as a cop or a thug. His career set sail on the black tide of noir that rose up in Hollywood after World War II. He played memorable hard cases in films such as The Killers, T-Men, and Border Incident. It wasn't until The Narrow Margin, however, that McGraw had the lead role, appearing in virtually every scene. Marie Windsor traveled the distaff side of the same road. A Utah beauty queen who toiled in the trenches at MGM, promises of starring roles always dangled but never delivered. Marie's problem, as she was told repeatedly by agents and producers, was that she was too tall, too voluptuous, and just too sexy. She'd never be cast as anything but the other woman. In truth, Marie never got a role that genuinely challenged her, but she could roll out of bed and be all the femme fatale you ever wanted. In time, Marie came to be known as the Queen of the Bees. And as she always said with a rueful smile, it's nice to be queen of something. As you're about to see, The Narrow Margin has a lot of kinetic energy. It ran in the Fleischer family's blood. Richard Fleischer's father, Max, and his uncle Dave were the main rivals to Walt Disney, creating the animated classics Betty Boop and Popeye the Sailor. And Fleischer shows a similar knack for clever staging and fast-paced action. His direction of several scenes is nothing short of miraculous, given the time and budget constraints he was under. Director of photography George Discant also deserves a carload of credit for rising to the challenges this production presented. When shooting wrapped, everyone in the cast and crew knew they'd made something special, including, unfortunately, studio boss Howard Hughes, who loved this film to a fault. But that's a story for after the film. Right now, it's time to get your ticket punched. Climb aboard for the narrow margin.